Farashte here with Amino Zed. I'm bringing you our third webinar. Today we're going to talk about how to manage your gains. We're going to talk about maintaining your physique and reintroducing foods back into your diet after you've reached your goal. So what we're going to cover today, how to manage your gains, how to look at your foods, what kind of workouts you should be doing now that you've reached your goals. And of course we're going to cover different goals and how to work with what your goal might be. So first thing is to imagine that you've reached your goal. So either you have now and you're watching this webinar, or in the near future you are going to reach your goal and you're on track. And let's say you have you've cut 5 or 10 kilos and you're worried about going back and reverting back to your old habits and putting on the weight again. And it's important to note that 90% of people who take on extreme weight loss solutions gain the weight back. 90%. So you want to be a part of that 10% that doesn't gain it back. So what can we do to manage that once you've reached your goal? There are two things that are consistent throughout your goals and throughout your process that you've had to look at, and those two things are food and exercise. So you're still going to have to take control of your food and exercise regimes, your diet, whatever it is, and we're going to look at it and we're going to kind of rework it a little bit so that you can still start to enjoy the foods that you once enjoyed without having to revert back to your old body. So basically what we need to do is, the way that you cut weight or gained weight was to balance your intake and your output. So intake is the food that's coming in, and output is the exercise. So we want to now, what we were doing before is you had a greater output than input. So you were having less food than the energy that you were expending, and this deficit here in between is what caused you to lose weight. So what we want to do now that you've reached your goal is to bring those together and close the gap. So either you can increase your foods slightly and decrease the exercise, and that'll bring it to a nice balance in the middle, or you can increase your food quite a bit and then increase your exercise intensity a little bit. So either way, you're going to have them meet somewhere. We can do, you can also change the style of training that you're doing. You can change the nature of your exercise. So for example, a lot of people, once they reach their goals in the gym, they will start to join a league and play for a team, join classes, and kind of change the nature of the exercise that we're doing. And that's something that you can do. So there are different ways that you can train or exercise for maintenance. So it depends on what your goal is going to be. You might be person A. Person A is going to have basic maintenance. So basic maintenance is meeting in the middle. So that sort of training is going to be between 2 and 4 days a week. You can have a mix of activities. You can do cardiovascular and some resistance training, whatever it might be. It could be at the gym, but like I said, it could be joining classes, joining a team, starting a new sport, getting involved with your kids, something like that. The repetitions and sets are going to look like something between 5 and 12 reps and 2 to 6 sets. So that's kind of a general basic maintenance program for your training. Your second person, person B, is going to maintain their weight loss but increase their muscle mass. So this is typical for a lot of guys who are feeling a little soft and they want to cut weight and lose the fat. And then once they've lost all the fat, then they are maybe interested in developing the muscles a little bit better, getting a little bit more toned. So this is a different style of maintenance. So for weight loss but increased muscle mass, what we want to do is maybe a 3 or 4 or 5 day split program. We're going to focus a lot on resistance training. You've got to do somewhere between 5 and 10 reps on each of your sets, and you're going to do sets that are not to failure, so not extremely heavy sets that you just can't finish every time. Not exhausting yourself at the gym, but keeping short rests, and again 3 to 4 or 5 sets each. So 5 to 10 reps, 3 to 4 sets, and a split program usually works pretty well because it gives you enough time in each of your training sessions to work each muscle group very, very well. Your person C, let's say your new goal now is going to be to prepare for a race, a sport, a league that you want to join, a rugby league, football league, and your objective was to get into shape for that. Now you're in shape for it. Now you're ready to go for the sport, but you're worried that you're going to gain weight. So that's goal number C. So in this case, your training is going to have to be a sport-specific training. So if you're preparing, for example, for a marathon or a half marathon, your training is now going to have to reflect that. So you should be out running, jogging 2 to 3 or 4 times a week. If you're training for a sport, for example, for football, you would work on your footwork, and again, running and cardiovascular exercise. For volleyball or for netball or something, you're going to be looking at more power and jump training. So we're going to keep the training qualities very similar to the sport. So it's going to be a very sport-specific style of training. How to eat. So you've reached your goal and now it's time to reintroduce foods. How can you reintroduce foods safely without suddenly gaining all that weight back? And how are you going to keep control? I'm going to give you a few tips later on, but it's a good thing to reintroduce foods very slowly. So just because you've reached the day that you have ended your program, for example, your program was to reach your goal on August 1st. When August 1st rolls around, and you're happy with your results, on August 2nd, you shouldn't be getting a tub of ice cream and enjoying it. What you're going to want to do now is reintroduce foods week by week. So for the first week, you can increase your intake of carbohydrates, say by 50 or 100 calories or 150 calories, and see how it goes. Check yourself at the end of the week. Are you happy with what's come along? Are you not happy? So we're still going to be tracking your intake. So you're still going to be tracking your intake and your exercise, actually. On week number 2 after that, the second week in August, you're going to start to maybe increase some other intake, or increase your fat intake, or increase your carb intake a little bit more, and see how it goes. Reintroducing foods should be a slow process, and as your body adjusts to the new amount of food that's coming in and the type of exercise that you're doing now for maintenance, it's going to try and find a balance and hopefully maintain your weight. So just because we've reached the end of the program, it doesn't mean that it's okay to just reach for any old thing that you want to eat. You're going to have to still stay in control, stay disciplined, and be very careful about what you eat. We're going to move on. So what kind of tricks can you do, little tips that I can give you to continue to maintain your weight loss? So first thing is to keep a visual track about your next objective. So there should always be a new objective. Just because you've got to your set weight, it doesn't mean that that's the end of it. There can always be a different quality of a goal. So for the guys, if your objective was to lose weight and to cut down to 85 kilos, you've reached 85 kilos. Now your next goal can be something totally different. Rather than continuing to lose weight or just maintaining your weight, let's look at something a little bit further on in the future. So in 6 months or in a year, how do you want to look? You could say maybe increase chest size, reduce waist girth, by 2 centimeters or by 5 centimeters, or some other quality of a goal. So there should always be something in the back of your mind reminding you what your motivation is to stay on track. So keep a visual reminder. Post up your next goal. Post up in 1 year I want to look like this, or in 1 year I want to have this. It could be any kind of measure. Or of course it could also be playing at an elite level, or playing on a league, or something like that, or getting up the stairs with no going up 5 levels of stairs without being out of breath, something like that. It could be a very simple, different goal. Also, another thing you can do is avoid situations that will trigger your old bad habits. So if you know that, for example, having a smoke will cause you to want to have a drink, and that will cause you to want to have 10 drinks, and that gets in the way of your continued weight loss, well, it's probably a bad idea to go out for a smoke. Going to fast food restaurants, that's a simple one. Stay away from things like that. Stay away from things that will trigger your bad habits. And don't forget that carbohydrates and sugar itself is addictive, and when you start back on sugar, it's going to be really, really tough to get off of it again. So let's stick away from those old things. Continue to track and log what you're doing, both your food and your activity, as I said earlier. So keep a journal. Write down your activity. Keep a journal where you can write down what you ate in certain days. Give yourself ideas for things that you want to try. Food, good foods, healthy foods, something you might want to cook. Logging your food is a great way to keep track and stay on track. Next thing, don't stop moving. So as I said before, you're going to have to make your nutrition and your intake and your output come to a balance. If you've been exercising and your intake is pretty low, and your exercise was, even if it was just 3 days a week, and you cut down to 1 or less days a week, you're going to have a really hard time maintaining. So you've got to keep moving, you've got to find a way or find something that you enjoy that you can continue to do. Try yoga, try hot yoga, go for runs, try something new. Once you've reached your goal, it's time to change something or find something new that's enjoying and stimulating for you. And of course, if going to the gym and doing your regular routine is what you find most pleasurable and motivating, then continue on with what you've been doing that has been working. So there's no reason to stop moving just because you've reached your goal. I also think it's a great idea to keep a reminder of how far you've come. Where were you when you started? This is going to be also a little piece of motivation. Do you have any before pictures? Post it up. Remind yourself. Put it maybe into your journal. Put it in front of your office. Remind yourself, that's where I was and this is how far I've come and I'm going to keep going with it. That's a great way to motivate yourself, to remind yourself that you don't want to ever have to go back to that person. Of course, you could also write down your old measurements, so your first time measurements when you just started, your waist, your weight, your chest, bicep, all those things. That's also a great way of reminding yourself of where you were. And of course, you can always write down beside it how far you've come. So old weight, 100 kilos, current weight, 85 kilos. Wow, well, you don't want to go back. Reward your good behaviors. So take the time to reward yourself, congratulate yourself when you've done a good job, when you've reached, each milestone that you've reached, maybe every 2 weeks, maybe every month, or every time you reach a very small incremental goal. Be happy with yourself. Be proud of yourself. You've come a long way. You've achieved something that you've worked hard for. So, enjoy it and reward yourself when you've done the right thing. I would also recommend that you continue to use the good supplements. So if you've come across some supplements that you find have really, really worked for you, well, keep going with them. Why stop? Don't change all your habits now that you've reached your goal. So if you found a good protein and you like having a good protein in your morning breakfast shake, then keep going with that. It could be creatine before your workouts. It could be anything. It could even be simple ready-to-eat or ready-to-drink snacks that you've enjoyed that have helped you along your journey. Well, keep up with them. 2 more points for you. When you do slip and you revert back into an old habit, or you slip back, you eat half of a cake, you have 10 beers, whatever the case may be, just because it happened, it doesn't mean that that's you going back to the old you. You take control of the situation, reassess, start again, take a deep breath. You're better than that. Don't give up. Just because you've reverted back the one time, it doesn't mean that that's going to be you and that it's okay or that it's impossible now. You just deal with your cravings and you move on from it. Finally, studies have shown that people who identify themselves as active people or as a healthy person, so if that's me identifying myself, that means that when I think of who I am, a part of who I am is a healthy person. I'm a person who cares about my activity, about my physical performance, and I am internalizing, I'm internalizing my goal. I want to be active because whatever, but I'm an active person. And when I internalize it like that, studies have shown that you're more likely to continue on with your healthy behaviors. So remind yourself, use it as a part of your mantra, whatever it might be. I'm a fit person, I'm a healthy person, I'm a strong person, I'm a powerful person, or you can internalize things like I'm a runner, I am a football player, I am a rugby player, I am and you internalize it like that, and that's a great way to keep you motivated without even conscientiously worrying about it. So I hope that this short seminar has helped you and given you some good tips on how you can continue to maintain your gains long after you have reached your goals. So stay tuned. Next week we're going to cover the next seminar, and I'm excited to put it out to you. Stay tuned. My name is Fareshte, and I'm the personal trainer here with Amino Zed.